LIVE live.
Yo.
Live in the house.
Hey.
I'm not actually in the house. I'm in the office actually this evening for the live chat. So my wife's not overly happy about the fact I might be home a little bit later this evening to put the kids back to bed. But hey ho, it shows how busy we are because we're all flat out at the moment, are we not?
That
Crazy.
we are.
Yeah, it's good. So tonight's chat then, as we wait for people to join us as they get the alerts to say they've gone live. Chris is playing hide and seek tonight. There he is.
Hey.
We're going to talk about some of the factors that are going to impact people's prices this year. So we've got 5 factors. If anyone's a regular reader of the blog page on the website, you'll have seen those already. But what is going to impact your price in 2022? So although we often have a lot of fun on these chats, that's serious chat. Proper estate agency knowledge, statistics and sharing, because sharing is caring. Talk about Help to Buy and the impact. In fact, we saw someone today, me and you, Ellen, didn't we, that Help to Buy coming to the end for them in October this year has impacted them making a move now. So Mike, I know you've done a video on that. Really, really good vital information for anyone that's purchased Help to Buy. Chris is going to talk about estate agency boards. We're going to let him rant on that. I'm sure everyone gets frustrated with estate agency boards, and we would love to hear your comments on that.
That's kind of what I want.
Yeah, we want
to hear what people. Yeah, I want people to tell us what they think of them. We obviously know what they're for and whatnot, but it's more about how they're being abused.
Yeah, we'll get controversial with it.
Oh yeah,
it's live. We're being recorded, so we're happy. We don't sit on the fence at Avocado. So as you may have known, who's this, Ellen?
Oh, so this is the boy cat. This is Pixie. It's dinner time. So he might be up and down for the live.
He heard that Chris is on the chicken goujons and he wants in.
He did.
Trying to get down towards Chris.
And also, there's instructions happening. There's properties coming to the market. So we're going to talk about some of the secret listings that are maybe coming up with us over the coming week or so. So hang on for that. If you're listening, pop us a like so we know you can hear us. If you've got questions at any time, whether they're sensible, rude or detailed, you can throw them in the comments box. We're happy to answer all of them. We'll always be honest with you on these chats. So I'm going to go ladies first. Just come to you, Ellen. How is the market started? We're on unlucky day 13, but it doesn't feel that unlucky at the moment.
It doesn't, although I did fall over when we were filming earlier, so maybe that's my bad luck.
I'm devastated. I'm devastated that I'd turned the record button off at that moment.
Yeah.
Ultimate bloopers.
Yeah.
Were you doing some daytime drinking again?
This was 10:30 in the morning, Chris.
So you probably were then.
But it is London, so anything's possible.
But aside from my fall, market is just it's flat out again. It's really busy. It's great to see so many people who have confidence, I think, in the market. Buyers that want to move, people that want to sell. So there's really no complaints from us here. Yeah. No,
it's good, isn't it? It started well. And I'll give everyone a quick update on rates of the week while we've got people watching us, because the mortgage advisor that we work with has sent them through kindly. So residential purchase, 2-year fixed, 60% loan to value, so 40% deposit, mainly for people looking at getting remortgages. With Barclays, you can get a 1.11% interest rate for a 2-year fixed on that. If the other end of the spectrum, you've got 10% deposit, 90% loan to value, 2-year fixed, you can get 1.61 for a 10% deposit. 1.61 interest rate is unbelievable.
That's crazy,
for a first-time buyer. Even if you've got a 5% deposit through Halifax, you can get under 2.5 at the moment, which is amazing. And controversially, the buy-to-let rates out there at the moment, with a 60% loan to value, so a 40% deposit, you can get a cheaper 2-year fixed for a buy-to-let than you can for a residential at the moment. 0.99%. It's the only sub 1% deal that's out there, which is unheard of in my time.
It's never been like that at all.
Yeah, Mike, talk to me about those rates. I mean, it's cheap to remortgage, it's cheap to buy with just a 10% deposit, which is good. It means demand is still high, really.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's still a great time for people to look at buying at the moment. Obviously, backlog of last year, lots of people still, looking to find something to buy, not that much in the way of stock. The nice thing is that the rates are supporting that as well. So it's, albeit there's been news of obviously the Bank of England base rate going up, they haven't jumped up massively. It's still a great time to look at borrowing money. And obviously it gives people like first-time buyers, like you were just saying, 10% deposit, a good opportunity of actually securing something decent rather than not being able to buy exactly what they sort of want. So yeah, it's been really a good time to borrow money, isn't it? I'm kind of a bit annoyed that I can't remortgage myself and get some of these cheaper rates, but yeah, it's I mean, the rates speak for themselves, especially for buy to let as well. Obviously, that's quite unheard of, isn't it? For it to be so cheap and for the banks to willingly be wanting to lend on buy to lets, because that is usually the first thing they cap when the market starts sort of turning, isn't it? Especially on flats and things. Last year there was points we were having chats with people where they're like, "Oh, that lender won't lend on a leasehold property," and you're like, "What?" Obviously, with all the COVID bits and pieces. So I'm glad that's all changed.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's interesting because I did think that maybe with the base rate change, banks would see that as an opportunity to, I guess, come in and put rates up a little bit, but quite the opposite. It's very, very competitive out there, which is
encouraging.
Yeah, it is really encouraging because it's all about how cheap it is to borrow. I often say this, and I've written a couple of blogs around it, which is really the prices of houses are actually irrelevant when you're purchasing. It's about affordability. No one really goes to the mortgage advisor and says, how much can I borrow? What they actually want to know is, with the affordability I've got, how much is it going to cost me per month? Where does that sit within my lifestyle? And then how much can I borrow as a result, rather than start at the top and work backwards. So if it's cheap to borrow, then yeah, people will be moving, which is good to know. So Chris, I'm going to come to you. I want to ask, are you rendering a video? It sounds like an aeroplane's taking off somewhere. Is that your
It's not me.
It's definitely my laptop. I mean, you know what mine's like. It's like a helicopter. It's like an Apache gunship going for liftoff.
Lee's saying hello. Mike's saying he can hear us loud and clear. So hello, gents. Thanks for logging on. And like I say, anyone that's watching, if you've got a question or you just want to give us the thumbsy emoji, just to let us know you're there and we're not just talking to the thin air, that would be absolutely brilliant. Where was I going? Chris, boards. Let's talk about them. Let's talk about agency boards.
It's not necessarily for me to rant. I mean, I can if you want me to. I can go off on one for 10 minutes if you like. But I'm interested in the public's opinion on how agents use boards, because agents should know, and if you don't, you need to check. But what the laws are around how boards can be used, and the fact that they've got to be within the curtilage of a property, not on the end of a road sign, not 300 meters away in some grass verge on the side of a motorway or whatever it might be. But I particularly caught shot of today 5 boards on, and those that know Camley and Frimley in particular, Chelsmore Park, which is a lovely modern estate. And driving down the Maltway, there's 5 agents boards there. There are 2 prolific agents in Camberley that really abuse where they put their boards. I'm not going to mention names. I'd love to, but I won't. And there's 5 boards which are nowhere near properties. You're actually not allowed boards on this particular estate on the edge legally, and actually, the council won't have it at all on that particular estate. So I'm quite interested to hear what the public's perception are on it, because we'll all admit we've all put boards at some point during our long careers, probably where we shouldn't have, me included. And you've had a complaint from a neighbour saying, "Why have you got a board here? It's nowhere near the property," and they are absolutely right. And so I haven't done it certainly since running my business, and I don't agree with it. But I think it's more the case of there's one particular agent does it every single year in Camberley, where just before Christmas they put about 50 flyboards up. Some on the edge of roads that they do have properties for sale or sold, and other ones where they don't. And I think I'm sort of quite keen to hear your opinions as to how it is on your patches, because it's I'm sure it is the same everywhere else. There's normally a couple of agents that really just sort of push the boundaries of it. And also with flats, developments of flats, when you have those situations where there's like 15 boards outside our flats, all different, multicolored, everything like that, and it just, in my opinion, I think it looks horrible. I think from a buyer's opinion as well, coming to view a property where there's 20 boards outside of development, what's with the exodus? Why is everyone leaving? Yeah, it creates a bit of a negative straight away. I appreciate we want boards to help with our branding and ultimately to assist in the sale of finding a buyer for all of our listings. But I just find it almost a little bit laughable now as to how far some agents are going against the ones that actually play by the books, which there are. It's only a small minority that really take the mickey. So I'm quite keen to hear your views on what it's like where you guys are.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great point. It's been a frustration of mine for the last year. I'll translate to the public. Flyboards is what we call in the industry a board that's been put up when there's a property not for sale. It often happens on kind of main roads, or you sit at the end of a big road where someone might put it on the road sign, on the entrance to a road sign. It's brand awareness. It's a bit of a marketing tactic from the estate agents. You used to get in trouble for it pre-COVID. And actually, these days, since COVID, since lockdown, there's no highways and byways sort of drive rounds, or there's no letters really getting sent through doors. Funnily enough, Chris, me and Ellen were at a location in Bracknell today. And about a year ago, I actually had a property on the market, a block of flats where there were about 15, 16 boards up. And I was actually emailed by, I think it was maybe the secretary of the freehold or something like that. So it was a resident that was kind of, the kind of person in control of making decisions on behalf of the other residents. And they emailed, I think there was about 12 estate agents. And obviously knowing the agents locally, it was quite senior figures within that email. I went down and took our board down because that was the request. They shouldn't have been where they were. It's an eyesore. They keep blowing down. They're causing damage to the site, blah, 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 blah. A year down the line, none of the agents have removed the boards. They're still the same agents. I even went and did a Facebook Live a week later and highlighted that boards should not be there. They're actually on council railings. So yeah, it is a frustration, and it is another thing that gives the industry a bad kind of rep. But yeah, at the same time, put boards where boards should be, which is to market a property that's for sale. You can't sell a road, can you? You can't sell a tree. You can't sell parkland. You can't sell a whole block. It's crazy.
I just think, I think from an agency competitiveness perspective, it's all very well sort of saying, be creative with your boards. Like, well, the law is the law, and boards can go on the curtilage of the property. If they're not on the curtilage of the property, they shouldn't be there. As I say, we all push boundaries in the past, and as Lucy quite rightly says here, boards breed boards. Yeah, completely get that, and that is absolutely right to a degree. But I think as I say, being creative with them. Well, how can you be creative with a board? It's either on the curtilage of the property or it's not. Is my personal and professional view on it. But I know how good they are for our businesses, but then at the same time, just play by the rules.
Yeah, I think Lucy highlights be more creative with the design and the style of the board.
Sorry, okay, apologies, Lucy. So I'm not wearing my glasses, so I cannot barely read what that says on the screen.
Chris is just so passionate about boards. He's literally like, no, not having it.
Thanks for the comment, Lucy.
Play by the rules, or I'm taking your boards down. That is Chris. He's just like, come on.
Done it before. I'll do it again.
He's hoping that the agents are watching this live now, going, right, boys, let's get this in shape. But it's not going to happen, Chris.
Probably not. No.
Actually, on the last week's partner chat, we mentioned about boards because the reason why we're having this conversation, why it's come to light, is we're talking about potential redesign on our boards. But boards have been the same, haven't they, for sort of 10, 15 years. And much like Lucy says, not many agents get creative. And we do actually have QR codes on our original boards, and we're looking to change again, and we will keep the QR code because it does help. But we would love to hear how residents and the public would feel more comfortable about having a board outside. They seem to get brighter and brighter, bigger and bigger, more offensive to the eye every time you drive around an estate, as people fight for branding. So we would love their feedback. And Lucy, thank you for watching on LinkedIn, and thank you for commenting. And any other questions that you've got or any other statements, throw them in. Mike has jumped on as well. With great buy-to-let mortgages available, do you think the prices of flats will start increasing again? So it's a good question from Michael. And I guess this question is dictated by the fact that when the housing market opened again, after the first lockdown in 2020? In 2020. Wow, we're in 2022.
You say that, isn't it?
Bonkers.
Scary. I'm going to start going grey soon. It was
Right.
very, very difficult to move an apartment, and a big part of that was because the high loan to value mortgages weren't there. But what do we think? Do we think that flats are starting to increase in price, or have we already seen flats increasing in price? Chris, I'll come to you.
Sorry, can you repeat that? I was just reading a comment that just came through. Sorry.
Came through from Alan. Yeah. Do you think flat prices are going to start going up, or have they already started to go up?
I mean, I've only got a couple of flats left at the moment from ones that I'm marketing, and generally, as a rule of thumb, they haven't been difficult to sell. But I think following the initial lockdowns, when a lot of people that lived in them and didn't have the luxury of a balcony or any outside space, it sort of did to a certain degree cause a bit of an exodus with a lot of flats coming on the market, which therefore, certainly where I am here in Camberley and Frimley, it kind of flooded the market with them a little bit. So that affected prices in a bit of a negative. So there's not been too many flats coming on so far this year or even in December. So I would like to think that they'll get a bit of respite from the hard times of the market, and they will start to increase a bit. But there's been a lot of apartments, that I've sold in the last year where they were bought 3 or 4 years ago, and they've been sold 3 or 4 years later, and they've not increased. In fact, there's a couple of instances where they've actually sold for less, which is heartbreaking, really, because property shouldn't be like that. But at the same time, they're worth what the market dictates they're worth. So, in essence, in an answer to the question, Michael, I think they'll have an easier ride this year. I think last year was a little bit tough for some, particularly the larger developments. But I think, I mean, I'm seeing one tomorrow in Camberley, which is in one of my favourite blocks. Beautiful prestige gated block. In fact, another one as well at the end of January as well, in the town centre, and they're both they're awesome flats. So as far as apartments go, they're sort of next level apartments. Small developments, only sort of 6-7 in the block. Gated entrances, decent outside space, and that kind of thing. They're the ones that will probably do better than the likes of the sort of 100+ unit developments. But yeah, in answer to your question, Michael, long way around of saying it. I think they'll start to increase a bit this year.
That was a yes. Love that. Ellen, just coming to you, obviously, Surrey, Berkshire, Camberley, Bracknell, really it's a couple of miles up the road, different county. But it's obviously different in terms of the marketplace and the demographic of purchaser. And we mentioned about buy-to-let deals. And I do think there's a big, strong place for buy-to-let purchasing this year. I do think it's the return of the landlord. There's no money in savings. If you've got, we worked out on the whiteboard in front of me, but if you've got 108 grand sat in your bank account, which not everyone does, I appreciate, but some, people do in their bank account, and they're looking at pension plans and they're looking at how they make sure that they've got assets for their kids and things like that. That 108 grand is making like maybe 50p a year in savings. But you could buy a 350 grand freehold, put that 108 grand into deposit, stamp duty, solicitor costs on an interest only mortgage at the moment, £263 a month, and the rental is probably going to be about £1,250. So it's going to make you £1,000 a month, compared to 50p a year in savings. So why wouldn't people be buying flats with that in mind? Obviously there are other costs in there, but you're going to net out about £750 a month profit. So yeah, not bad really. What do you think, Ellen? Is Bracknell seeing or already seeing or going to see a rise in apartment prices?
Yeah, I can already sort of feel the demand for apartments is higher than it was sort of throughout last year. Bracknell as a general has such an oversubscription of apartments that are built within the last 5 years, really. So many office conversions that were done, still being done as well. New builds still going up everywhere. So the kind of 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old flats who are now people selling and moving on, they are still competing with the brand new ones, but they come with their own premiums. So in a way, they kind of help to bump up the price of the flats that are only a few years old, because if you don't necessarily need it brand spanking new, well, 2, 3, 4 years old, or like the one today, 5 years old, looks as good as new. You know, that's fine for people. So I do think that kind of real plateau of prices in apartments is, I think it's the demand is, but the demand is there for them. Just a slight degree of patience more required than selling a 3-bed house, but yeah.
No, good answer. Appreciate that. I know, Mike, yours is predominantly a freehold sort of town, but Crowthorne, the small amount of apartments in sort of Finch and Sandhurst, seeing those increase?
Yeah, I mean, like similar to what Ellen was saying. Obviously, they got the new build ones. Obviously, Crowthorne's had quite a bit of development in it in terms of, obviously, you've got, quite 3 I can name off the bat. New builds. Obviously, they always come with their selection of apartments. Sandhurst is no different, but I mean, there was that massive flood, like Chris said, of just apartments, and it really did dip in Crowthorne quite a lot because it's not really, I guess, near a station per se in terms of a commutable to Reading, that kind of thing. So you can find that people will want to be like near a train station or whatever. Crowthorne just that bit too far out. Same with Sandhurst. So they did dip down a bit, but we've been getting some sensible money for apartments, that we've had on the market, and it all just comes down to pricing, in my opinion. Ultimately, like everyone said, it's only worth what someone's willing to pay, but there are always that kind of trade-off of the brand new ones, as Ellen was saying. You're going to pay a premium. It's brand new. You're going to be probably paying an extra 20, maybe 30,000 more. Like you say, 2 years less than that. They're still as good as new if they've been kept new, but you can get them for much more reasonable money. So they've moved around a bit, but it all depends on the size as well, and obviously where they are. But freeholds are flying, as we know.
So Alan's just touching back on the board conversation that we had about 5 minutes ago. He's raised a really good point, and he's kind of said, if for houses that are in estates, in the back of estates, what's wrong with putting them at the entrance to advertise there is a house for sale within it? And there's 2 points that I would say. One, you're not allowed. That's the facts of it. It's council land, and you're not selling that council land. So it's not allowed, and that's just the regulations that we have to adhere to. So by putting a board there, it's not meant to be there. And 2, for me personally, I've lived in estates where I've drove in and seen agency boards, and they're an eyesore. And it's not nice for the rest of the residents within that road to have that eyesore every time they leave the property that they live in and go back in. And if it's a constant, if it means that, you live in a big estate where there's always a board up there, it's a bit of an eyesore and you don't want them there. And sometimes they blow down and they're wonky, and, when they're not propped up properly because they're exposed. They're the 2 things that I would say. They're not meant to be there, and it's an eyesore, and it's not fair on the other residents. And in a third way, it doesn't need to be there because of the digital marketing that's done these days. So, if people are actively looking for a property, then they're looking in the right places, on social media, on Rightmove, in databases, and it's just nosy neighbours otherwise, isn't it? So that would be my 3 points. Anything to add on those guys, or is that pretty much cover that question?
I agree with that. I think ultimately it's just the rules are the rules. Sorry, Ellen, you go.
I was going to say, you get to use your favourite new word, curtilage.
Curtilage.
Oh, I love it. Rolls
good word, isn't it? Curtilage. I completely agree. And yes, if it was allowed, then fine, yeah. But if you live on a modern estate, you're driving into the estate and there's 10, 15 boards outside your estate. Yeah, if you've got a nice pretty entrance to it or something, it looks rubbish, doesn't it? And and I'm saying that as an estate agent and as a local resident somewhere, and I wouldn't want to see it, whether I'm an agent or not. I just wouldn't. And the board, stick it outside the house, let everyone know that house is for sale, that because people do drive around estates as well. So it's just not needed.
Thing, isn't it? It's predominantly there to let you know where the house is. So helping a client that's probably coming to view it, and obviously anyone that goes past it, if it's not where the house is, then what's the purpose of the board?
Yeah.
Lucy mentioned this here as well. We had some seasonal boards go up. Actually, we're not agents that kind of bash other agents, to be fair. And I saw the UMove ones go up, and the Santa hats on sheep. I thought they were quite cool, actually.
I think they did a really good job.
Yeah, we put Santa hats on the avocado for the graphics, and UMove, it's not a bad agency model at all. We're avocados, they're sheep. I like it. I like sheep. I actually had lamb for my Sunday roast, so I'm a big fan. Absolutely love it. Mike said, thanks for being brief. And then he's also asked, Who's hoovering?
Oh, mate, it's this
one's
laptop. It's going
hoovering.
absolutely
That's this
bonkers.
guy.
I'm really sorry.
When
I don't know who this
when,
guy
was
is.
I don't need to have the heating on in here though, because it just kicks out all the.
when was it built, that laptop, Mike?
So I've had a look through some of my books, and I believe it sort of dates back to sort of the original sort of 1865 sort of war era. And I mean, it's been lovingly restored, but you know, not for the likes of this modern technology, mate, I'm afraid.
We didn't have dial-up internet at the beginning, at least.
No, well, I did, but I had to switch it over because it was a bit of a pain.
Yeah, it's got a calligraphy feather instead of a mouse. Love it.
Yeah. I've got to top it up with something at the end of the live.
You'll wind it up again.
Let's do some teasers, gang. Let's talk about and then I'm going to touch on Help to Buy and Andy Mead's comments. Let's talk about some teasers. Anyone got any exciting listings to talk about that is not on the market yet that will be coming soon? Who wants to go first? Hand up.
Pick me.
Oh, look at them. I knew this would happen.
Ellen, Chris, then Mike. So, Ellen, what have you got?
Well, we did 2 Beat the Portals today. We got a 2-bedroom house in Forest Park and a 2-bedroom apartment that Ian and I have spoken about. So 2 beds. We've also got quite a cool 1-bed ground floor apartment coming up and another 3-bedroom house. So 1, 2, 3 beds. We've got it all, guys.
What's the 2-bed in Forest Park, Ellen? What's the price?
320.
320. Okay.
320. Yeah.
Very nice. Chris, what's on the bubble?
Okay, I've got a beautiful 3-bed detached place coming on, not too far from the town centre. It's going to be about 700, just over a 5th acre plot. It's stunning, beautiful. Only 3 bedrooms upstairs, but masses of space downstairs. That's going to be an absolute corker. Got a 2-bedroom apartment coming on in Camberley, and a 1-bedroom coming on in Basingstoke. And another 1-bedroom in Farnborough, actually. So I'm getting around a little bit over the next week or so. Watch this space.
I'm sure they've all got boards going up. Mike?
Yeah, literally.
All out of the curtilage.
Mike, what you got on the bubble?
Yeah, so we've come out of the blocks pretty quickly. We had that 4-bed detached that sold in Cricketfield Grove, which was lovely. I'm sure there would have been other people for that as well. But we've got a 3-bedroom detached in Sandhurst coming on Monday, which is going to be nice. Really decent plot on that as well. So it's going to be, I think, a bit of a bum fight on that in terms of people wanting to go in and have a bit of a play with it and make it bigger, etc. So that's quite exciting. We've literally just put a 2-bedroom apartment in Heatherdean Avenue in Crowthorne, just by the station. Just relaunched that. That came off the market back end of last year with us, and the owners just refitted it all out, new carpets, all the works, redecorated. So it's really, really good. And you get like 1,200 on the rent on that as well. So it's a decent investment, obviously going back to rates for anyone listening who might be looking. And yeah, we're probably working on about 7 in the next 3 weeks. So there's, lots going on at the moment. So it's really exciting for us.
So make sure you're following Avocado pages for the areas you're looking to get those Beat the Portals, because the Beat the Portals is our tagline, #BeatThePortals. It means you get the jump. If you're following our Facebook and Instagram pages, then as soon as we have got agreement to market from that seller, we will walk outside the front door, go live and tell you about it. That's what the Beat the Portals means. It might be 3 days, 4 days, even 5 days until that property then goes on the portals. So you're not going to see it on Rightmove. The board won't go up in that time either. So that's the quickest way you can find out about new instructions. Exciting stuff there. Loads of exciting stuff. So really, really good. Andy Mead, and I'm going to come to you on this, Mike, has mentioned the exact amount of Help to Buy transactions since the scheme began in 2013. For those that don't know what Help to Buy is, it's the government loan which has helped people purchase properties by adding up to an extra 20% on their deposits so that they can get certain types of properties, obviously new build typically. It's disappearing, but also the 5-year fixed is what Mike spoke about recently, where you get that for free effectively. It's going to start to become chargeable. So it's a big topic because it is probably going to force a lot of people to sell. Or a lot of people are going to sell off the back of it, use it as a catalyst to move. But yeah, Mike, give us a little bit of a breakdown on it, because I know you did a video with Will on this recently.
Yeah, we did. So we, just as you say, put a video together for anyone that was, in that sort of situation where they bought a new build, they did it on Help to Buy, and ultimately they're thinking about either refinancing or they're thinking about making a move. And it's, I guess, the crossroads that you come to within the first 5 years of ownership of that sort of property anyway. So yeah, we've obviously had a bit of experience in selling properties with Help to Buy. So it's obviously a bit of a guide to anyone who's thinking, okay, well, how do we do it? Because obviously there's third party involvement from the government as well, and what do you have to do, who do you have to speak to, but it is a fairly straightforward process. So I think there'll be lots of people looking to possibly make a move onto something a bit bigger. There's no secret, obviously the market's gone up, and even that of new builds, they're still, if they're decent properties, you can then obviously use that equity to start paying back some of that loan. But it's who knows what's going to happen with with the schemes moving forward, whether or not the government's going to roll out something that's similar again. What are people's thoughts on that? Do you think there's going to be anything coming out similar that might be an even better proposition for people over and above what's already on the table?
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I've not really actually thought about that, to be honest. I don't know if Andy is still on, what his view is, that kind of put the comment in here, obviously knows the bits and bobs that deals in the new homes market, whether there is anything else on the agenda. But yeah, Ellen, I know your background previously, new homes. Any thoughts? Do you think there should be another kind of scheme in place? Do you think there will be?
It's an interesting question, because there's already a lot of publicised and unadvertised help for people buying new builds, because the developers tend to have a margin built in already. So I've seen developers do deposit top-ups, pay stamp duty, pay moving costs. They've kind of got this pot of money per sale to kind of throw at the problem anyway. So having the government help before as well for the Help to Buys was really good for people, where it's almost where cash flow is an issue. Great earnings, low deposit, no money for stamp duty, no money for all the rest of the stuff. So that's kind of the people that go for new builds. So I don't know. I'll be surprised if there is some kind
grabbing
of
a
help.
photo of the mic there, ignore me.
Yeah, I'll be surprised if the government don't do something, because that sort of help that they give bridges the gap for the premium that you pay for a new build. So yeah,
Chris, any thoughts? Do you think they should? Do you think it's important to help people get on the ladder and help the new homes market kick off?
1000%, of course it is.
Yeah.
I think new homes are a big pull for first-time buyers in particular, and buy-to-lets as well. But obviously not so much buy-to-lets at the moment because prices are still very, very high. But I'd love them to see them reintroduce something. I mean, I imagine they'll assess their figures and stats come the expiration date of it, and maybe make a decision based on that. But I would like them to. I hadn't really thought that far ahead, to be fair, either, like yourself, Ian. But be nice if they did, because I think giving a helping hand, knowing how difficult it is in all of the areas that we operate in, it is bloody expensive, and very difficult to get on the ladder as a first-time buyer.
Yeah, Andy's mentioned nothing yet, but I think it's in order to shore up the market scheme as well as be put in place. Especially every sale adds 10k to the economy. They should be wise to continue with the help, which is a great stat. And I know Andy mentions that a lot. £10,000 per transaction goes into the economy, be it on decorators or wherever, just it costs money to move home. When you get there, you furnish, you decorate, you do your thing. Keeps the world going, keeps the UK spinning. So yeah, really, really good. Great convo this evening, everyone. Thanks for contributing, and thanks for everyone that's put questions in and liked and shared the video. I haven't managed to get to the blog about the kind of 5 factors that I think are going to impact the property prices this year. So I'm going to chuck the link into the comments for anyone who wants to read that blog. It's well worth a read because it's got quite a bit of detail in terms of what probably are going to impact the market this year. So yeah, although that's not allowed on some of them, but it's in there. So if anyone's got any questions, we would love them to carry on with the comments. If you're watching and we're not live now, but it's a recording, we still answer them. And please like, share. And if you think there's someone that this chat is relevant to, tag them in the comments, and obviously they can have a listen at any point. We don't pull these down, so it will be there live indefinitely for people to watch if they need to. Ellen, Chris, Mike, anything else that you want to add before we depart, or just a goodbye?
Nope.
Literally, Chris is
jumped the gun
waving
there,
us
didn't
off
I?
already. He's like, no, I'm done
Oh.
now. He was actually reaching for the button as well, as you can see after the wave.
Well, I'm very aware that
impressive.
Mike's laptop is about 3 minutes away from blowing up, so I wanted to get off the line.
I need to get the extinguisher. I'm reaching down now for it, just to.
Yeah. Go and pop it in the fridge for 10 minutes, mate, before you start doing any Photoshop.
Freezer job, I reckon, tonight. This one, yeah, definitely.
Thanks, everyone. See you all next